With Giuliani back in the news, I wanted to take this opportunity to use this piece of trash as an example of how white supremacy works in this country. Rudy Giuliani is a well-known racist who worked to destabilize the black community by targeting non-whites during his time as mayor of New York City. Instead of going after actual criminals like the white men and women in the mafia or the white men and women who commit the white-collar crimes that decimate and destroy entire populations. Let's take Bernie Madoff, for example. Bernard Madoff is a white Wall Street executive who illegally stole billions of dollars from people in New York City. Madoff admitted to starting his crimes back in 1991, and he continued them into the 2000s. All this was being done under Giuliani's watch as mayor. But instead of focusing on white criminals who were stealing billions of dollars from citizens, Giuliani decided to focus the attention of the police onto non-whites in the inner city. He thought the city would be better catching turnstile jumpers and graffiti sprayers. So someone who avoids paying $1.50 for a train ride deserves more attention and punishment than someone who's robbing almost $65 billion from citizens. That's how racism and white supremacy work. Whites use their power to tilt the playing field in their favor. They work to criminalize and lock up the black citizens while ignoring the crimes of the white citizens. As a result, black men get stuffed into prisons and aren't around to properly raise their black children and support their black communities. This destabilizes those communities and causes a whole host of problems. On the other hand, the white men are not only being allowed to commit any crime they want, but they also get to keep the money from the crimes they're committing because they're not being prosecuted. As a result, white men are around to raise their white children the way they think they should be raised, and they're there to support their white communities. So there's nothing working against the white community, hence the differences between the stability of both the black and white communities. Let's not forget all the extra money that the white community has access to because they're not being prevented from committing their crimes, so they're able to keep any profits that they get from the crimes that they commit. After his stint as mayor, Giuliani went on to use his voice in the media to downplay the illegal execution of blacks by the police and by minimizing it. He then attacks peaceful protesters who were just trying to stop the illegal executions and blames the deaths/executions on murderous black children. This guy's a demonic racist. The reason I want to talk about this cock gobbler is because people like him always have demeaning things to say about the black race, but they tend to ignore the same issues that run rampant in the white race. Let's get back to that unequal playing field that white supremacy works on. For someone who's so passionate about stopping crime, Giuliani seemed to really benefit from it. His father, Harold Giuliani, was a loser who couldn't hold a job. After getting caught assaulting people and robbing them, this loser went on to become an even bigger criminal by working for his brother-in-law as an enforcer in the mob. Look at that. Giuliani's father and uncle were both major criminals. Since their white crimes were being ignored, like I was talking about earlier, and they were able to break the law freely, they used the money they obtained from crime to help their family achieve a better life. They used their criminal money to move from a crappy apartment in Brooklyn to a nice place on Long Island. After making even more money, they were able to send their son Rudy to a fancy college prep high school and then on to NYU. And look at that. Rudy Giuliani, the white man who rails against blacks for their supposed criminal lifestyle, obtained the power, prestige, and wealth that he has today due to the actual criminal lifestyle of his own family. Funny how that works. White men like him use their positions to primarily punish blacks for crimes, and then they go on TV to demonize blacks for being criminals, when in actuality, he, his white family, and his white friends all make their livings as criminals. They get to commit crimes freely, live off the spoils of their crimes, and better their lives and their communities, all while also working to destabilize the black community. And that's how white supremacy works. Commit illegal and immoral acts to better your life, then distract everyone else by telling them that they need to look at the black community when it comes to illegal and immoral acts. What do I mean by immoral acts? Well, Giuliani also has 3 failed marriages. 2 of them that we know of failed because he was being unfaithful. Giuliani broke off the marriage of his first wife, who was also his cousin, so that he could be with his second wife, who gave him 2 children. But his second wife was forced to leave him because he couldn't stop cheating. So Giuliani's children come from a broken home. So when you hear Giuliani talking about black on black crime or asking, where are the black fathers? Point that question right back at him and the people like him. Giuliani, what about all that white on white crime committed by your father and uncle during their time in the mob? And Giuliani, why did you abandon your own children just so you could fool around with a married nurse who was more than 20 years younger than you? Reminds me of another celebrated white man, John McCain, who took part in Operation Rolling Thunder, a military campaign that resulted in the deaths of over 30,000 innocent Vietnamese civilians when men like McCain dropped bombs on unsuspecting villages. This murdering piece of garbage then came back to the States and started cheating on his wife with a teacher. He left his wife and children for another woman, creating another white broken home. Of course, this man went on to be a well-respected politician, but that's a story for another time, I suppose. White power.